Break a leg, Nintendo. We've got exciting new announcements. Good morning, Mario. And good morning, Switch fans. Your host is back in action with Nintendo Switch Online updates. Finally, a new showcase being added to the Summer Games Bonanza, and this one could have some good Switch games. And then we gotta talk about the thing that costs 10 times as much as Nintendo Switch. So what's going on, everybody? It's Horst. If you haven't seen, back here I have a little video of Star Fox and Donkey Kong. These are characters that Nintendo has forgotten, and I released a very lengthy video essay on why that is and why they aren't on Switch. If you haven't checked it out, there's a link in the description and a beautiful thumbnail right here that should tantalize your senses and make you neigh straight to the video link. Alright, Capcom announced their showcase for June 12th. That'll be next week, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, they say it'll be a 36-minute show. Getting so specific. Nintendo usually is like approximately 20 or approximately 40. They're like 36. Put it on your Apple Watch. Mark it off. Feed the horses after. 36 minutes, and the only thing we know they've got coming for Switch is Ghost Trick. Now, Ghost Trick is a DS game, then a mobile game, now a Switch game. But will they have anything else? They've exhausted all their Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak content, so what could it be? Will we once and for all finally get a Resident Evil dedicated to Switch? We got a Monster Hunter dedicated to Switch, got every Mega Man game under the sun. We actually have just about every Resident Evil game as well, but many of them are cloud versions. And I'd love to see a Revelations title exclusive to Nintendo Switch. So let's hope that we get that announcement. Otherwise, I don't know how much Nintendo will be here. But if they have something, it could be cool. My guess is the show focuses on Exoprimal, Pragmata, Dragon's Dogma 2, and maybe a big surprise. So I'm hoping that that surprise is something for Switch. Could we get a Street Fighter port? Maybe. What about a brand new Ace Attorney? Probably not. I feel like something in the Mega Man genre or in the Resident Evil genre is most likely from Capcom, but I'll be tuning into that show, and I hope you will too. My hooves are itchy, but we continue on with Nintendo Switch Online. Boom, baby. The guy who used to host this show complained a lot about Nintendo not putting out games, and what do? June 5th, they put out a quartet. These are all for the $20 tier. That means you, probably, unless you have the expansion pack for Mario Kart. Either way, you get to play these games, and it's actually not a bad list. God forbid they release a Game Boy Advance game, but we do have Kirby Tilt and Tumble for the Game Boy. Did you know, young one, that the Game Boy had motion control? You thought the Wii was innovative? Imagine the Game Boy. You could tilt that Game Boy and roll Kirby around, and now you can do the same with your Switch or your Joy-Con. Kirby Tilt and Tumble actually was announced in the Game Boy announcement, so some of those titles are finally coming to fruition that we saw when they first announced these systems added to Switch Online. We also have Blaster Master Enemy Below. There's Blaster Master on Switch, so if you like those. Super NES gives us Harvest Moon, which honestly, if you want to play the OG Harvest Moon, if you want to see like farming games at their beginning, at their baby form, at their universal introduction stage, maybe check out Harvest Moon. They also have a NES game Mystery Tower, which I don't know anything about. It's from Namco, released in 1986, and it looks like a Japan-only release upon its initial debut. Now available for everyone. The real question, though, is when will we get more GBA? This is a nice set, and I gotta say, I am a fan of the fact that now when they drop for a bunch of systems. They drop a Game Boy, they drop an SNES, they drop an NES. It's nice to have that variety and add to their catalog, but they should be doing this weekly or bi-weekly, not monthly. And then they should be giving us a Game Boy Advance game. Hopefully we hear about a new one soon. We got three Mario titles that were already on Switch Online. That's not gonna cut it. You get kicked off my show, kicked off my game. Not many people know what I do because all they've seen is this. But it will be fun. Now, there's one other thing to talk about in regards to NSO. Yes, they're making progress. Yes, they release more games. Whoopee! But I've seen some people say this means no June Direct. They're saying because Nintendo announced this stuff, no Direct. Why wouldn't they have put this in the Direct? Why wouldn't they have put this in the Direct? Well, I'll tell you why. Nintendo doesn't do it that way. It's pretty easy to find the facts and see that games like this don't get announced in directs. NSO updates that are compilations of multiple older systems and not focal titles like a GoldenEye or a Pokemon Stadium, they don't get major hubbub. They just get dropped. It's a shadow drop and then it's out. There's not even the fanfare of waiting a week like they do for Game Boy Advance. When they release the older system games, they just come out. Now, if anything, this lends more credence to more Nintendo Switch announcements because they continue to pile them on in a row. We got this one, now we're getting that one. What could be next? I just want to assure you that if you see anyone saying this means no June Direct, well, it might be unlikely, but it definitely isn't because of this NSO release. That's not why there isn't a June Direct. There might be. Christopher Dring said, nope, there isn't one. But again, who really knows? The insiders don't seem to know much this year, and that's honestly kind of exciting. We could be surprised and hit over the head with a beautiful beam of Nintendo gaming goodness at any moment. And I hope to goodness gracious you don't have to deal with me at that point. It sure is a hot life as a horse. Alright, let's talk about expensive products. Let me know if you're going to play any of those Switch games, by the way. Everybody Want to Switch is only $29.99. That's how you get the job done, friends. In today's economy, a low price equals, come to Papa. A high price, though, maybe it puts you off. You thought the PlayStation 5 was expensive at $500. You thought the PSVR 2 was expensive, adding that to the system, bringing it to nearly $1,000. The Switch, though, smart cookies over there at Nintendo, $300 and $360 if you want a special edition OLED. Now then, what if I told you Apple's new VR technology was going to cost 10 times as much? I think it's hilarious to consider that Apple's new VR AR goggles are $3,499, and for the low price of $299, $199 if you get a light, $349 if you go OLED, $359 if you want some doohickeys on your system, you can get a Switch. And you can play Everybody Want to Switch. For $30 extra, for $330 or $230 or $380 or $390, no matter which way you look at it, for about 1/10 the price of Apple's Perspective headset, you could play Everybody Want to Switch and have a Switch system for whatever else Nintendo decides to announce. Now, on that trail, we talked about Nintendo and VR yesterday, and I bet you my left hoof, they would never charge this much. You can be sure that Nintendo's next system, whether it includes VR or not, will be nowhere near this amount. And it's interesting to see how VR and some of this Apple technology ends up costing a horse's mane. But I don't know who's going to buy it. Nonetheless, what is Apple thinking? Who has $3,500 for VR? They were like, nobody wants to pay $400 for VR. Maybe they'll pay $3,500. If it's way more expensive, it could be more exciting and alluring. But let me tell you, I've tried out some glasses that do just about what the Apple headset is proposing to do for $400. And even that I thought was pricey. I got sent a pair of Nreal glasses. You might remember the video if you want to see them. I've basically already done the Apple thing, just not through Apple. And they're very cool. You know, I could watch stuff in 3D space. I could play games off my Steam Deck in 3D space. I could even play Switch. It was really cool. I was playing Breath of the Wild, just like out there in the ether. It's actually a really cool experience. Marvel Snap on the ceiling. It's pretty darn fun. It's something that I wish everyone could experience. But I sure don't think you should pay $3,500 for that. I mean, $400 is still a ton of money, but it's nowhere near 9 times the price at $3,500. So again, what is Apple thinking? I understand this starts as a luxury item, a business item, and eventually maybe reach a more consumer-friendly price point, but I don't think it'll get there. I don't think the idea of having something latched to your face is ever going to catch on, no matter how cool it is. I think at the end of the day, it's a gimmick, and it's something you do sparingly. And at that price point, you need to do it all the time, even when you're sleeping or going to the bathroom. And that's just not going to happen. I like the idea that the glasses can go opaque and then transparent. That's pretty neat. But that's not worth $3,500. Go put a down payment on a car, on a home. Go buy 100 copies of my game. Maybe a few more for your friends. Anyhow, Apple's crazy. Nintendo understands pricing better than everybody. And what's really cool here is, given the library, given the extensive nature of their success, it's impressive that Nintendo is the lowest price competitor on the market. And if you ever thought the Switch was expensive or a video game console was expensive, Apple just showed you it could be so much worse. With inflation, with rising development costs, these consoles, while still expensive, thankfully they haven't shot up as high as they could have. At one point, we were looking at a $500-600 PlayStation 3. That was eons ago. Now we've got a $300 Switch, a $200 Switch if it doesn't switch. Never understood that one, by the way. But it's impressive that Apple thinks they can give it a go. Let me know if you know anyone that's going to buy this. I sure don't. And hopefully, Nintendo comes out with something new soon. We really could use a new system. It was hard to harness the power this guy on the regular Switch, so hoping for a Switch 2. But let me know if you're playing any of the NSO games and how you feel about Capcom Showcase. Will we get a cool announcement for Switch or not? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'm your host. Bye now.